Today I'm going to teach you a tool that I use every single workday, the shutdown routine. Now, this tool will help you leave work at work. It will stop you obsessing about your to-do lists, and it will set you up for your morning so that you can start on your most important tasks first without getting distracted. My name's Chibbs. I'm a stress and a burnout specialist and accredited mindfulness facilitator. I work with individuals and organizations providing practical mindfulness and mental fitness tools to reduce stress, reduce the risk of burnout, and improve your ability to get more done in less time. And some of you might know me as one of the meditation instructors and narrators on the Calm app. Now, before I had this shutdown routine, most of my days would go something like this. I'd open up my laptop, check my emails and respond to the important ones. I'd then check my emails again and respond to the unimportant ones. I'd then try and think about what project was most important and then promise myself that I'd start on it later. And then I'd get stuck into some unimportant tasks just so that I was being productive. And then throughout the day, I'd respond to calls or emails or texts that would come through. So I'd be getting lots done, but not really getting stuck into the meat of anything important. Every now and again, I'd finally start work on an important project, usually late in the afternoon, and then I'd be working into the night, not really in an optimal state to be productive. On other days, I'd finish working at a reasonable hour, but then I'd guiltily think all evening about everything that I hadn't got done today. And then I'd make vague plans in the back of my minds about what I needed to do the following day. Now, most of my clients find themselves doing something pretty similar, possibly with a bit of Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or other modern attention hijacking technology thrown in to make the day even less productive. So in this modern age, and especially now with the increase in remote working, where the division between work and home is getting blurrier and blurrier, one of the most important daily tasks that I encourage my clients to implement is a shutdown routine. Now, much like the controlled breathing tool, this shutdown routine is a go-to tool for over 95% of my clients. It's one that I'm almost certain will help each and every one of you out there. So I'd pay very, very close attention to this video. Basically, I'm bringing out the big guns or the big tools early on in this program, okay? So pay attention to this one. Now, the aim of the shutdown routine is to get all of your work worries and unfinished tasks into a safe system that guarantees you that they're going to be handled in the future. So when done correctly, this tool will help you shut down your day in an intentional way. So it can help you leave your work at work. It can stop you obsessing about all the things that you still have to finish. And it can also set you up for the morning so that you can start on your most important tasks first without getting distracted by superficial busy work. Now, we all work hard and we all want to make the most out of our personal time. So let's explore a way to get all of those work-related worries and unresolved tasks out of our heads and into a system so that we can truly enjoy our evenings. Now, I'm going to take you through the shutdown process that I use. Now, you can use my process or you can adapt one to suit you. And my process is going to be listed in the workbook, so you don't need to write anything down. But if, as you're watching this video, you have any ideas about what you could add to your own shutdown routine, then please feel free to pause the video and take note of it. All right, so the first thing that I do is I gather together all of my outstanding tasks, requests, and questions. So I put all unfinished or new business into one neat place. So I use notes on my Mac and my iPhone. You can use Google Docs or even old-fashioned pen and paper. But first of all, I list all the tasks that I didn't manage to complete that day, and I put them all into a task list. Then I quickly skim through the day's emails. If you're part of chat threads, you can go through those, and you can add in any unfinished business to your list. And the next thing that I do is I check my calendar. The last thing you want to happen is for you to be surprised by any early morning meetings. So especially if you're working from home, and this has definitely happened to me, I've slept in later than normal. I've got up at 8:30 with the aim to start my day at 9 and then realized that I'd set up a meeting for 8 a.m. So check your calendar. It helps you feel settled about the morning. And at this point, you can set an alarm to wake you up if you need to. Now that I've got all of my tasks written down, I then prioritize and I sketch out the next day. Now, by doing this, it lets your subconscious know that you've got a solid plan. And that will stop your brain from worrying as much, and it will stop your brain from fixating on any unsolved or unresolved problems. If you have a to-do list in order of priority, then there's going to be no friction or resistance or messing around aimlessly in the morning trying to work out what to do first. Now, I can't promise that this will stop you procrastinating. You can still obviously choose to get your phone out and scroll Instagram or check your emails, but it will give you your best chance of immediately starting your day with purpose, making it as easy as possible to start straight away with task number one. Now, one thing that I urge you to do if you really want to supercharge your productivity, and this is what I do, is to eat that frog. So eat that frog, what the hell does that mean? Well, this means put your biggest, hardest, most difficult, most important task as number one on your list, and let that be the first thing that you do in the morning. Now, that phrase came from Mark Twain, who once said that if the first thing that you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that it's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day. Personally, I think it's a bit of a stupid analogy or metaphor or simile, or I'd never know the difference between those. But anyway, there's a great book called Eat That Frog, and that's where I got it from. So the big, hard, important tasks, they're usually the ones that are the easiest for us to procrastinate on. So if we do those first, then we really will supercharge our productivity. So eat that frog is just another way of saying that if you have two important tasks or two tasks before you, start with the biggest, hardest, most important task first. Persist until that task is complete before you go on to something else. That will really change your life. Anyway, the next thing that I do is I reset my digital workspace. And that means closing down documents, closing down applications, and very importantly, closing down tabs. Now, for all you tabs addicts out there, I know you're out there, tabs can be helpful during the day, but if you end the day with dozens of tabs or dozens of documents open, then this creates a sort of mental clutter in your mind, which can be very, very distracting. So 25 tabs open on your browser. That tells your subconscious that there are 25 unfinished tasks, 25 open loops that need closing. So it's a subtle and a constant reminder of all the tasks that you haven't completed yet, which can build unnecessary anxiety throughout your evening. So hopefully you can see how closing down tabs and windows might be helpful at the end of our day. But of course, at the start of our day, it can also be overwhelming to be confronted with dozens of documents and tabs open. Busy digital space creates mental clutter, and that makes it harder to focus. And it also leaves you open to something called context switching and distraction, and it's a constant reminder of tasks that you're not yet ready to begin. So take a minute to tidy your digital workspace, only leaving open tabs or the applications that are relevant for the next day's number one task, or just close your computer down completely. All right, the next thing that I do is I enjoy a quick win. So the end of the day is perfect for knocking out one or two quick self-contained tasks or tying up any loose threads. So my quick win always involves tidying up my desk. It's very simple, but leaving your workspace tidier and lighter than you found it can give you a final mental boost. Now, if you choose something else for your quick win, make sure it really is a self-contained task. You don't want to get sucked down any rabbit holes. The next thing that I do is inspired by Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome in the 2nd century. And he was a student of a school of philosophy called Stoicism. And the reason that I tell you this is because I think it's really interesting to note that nothing much has changed in these little brains of ours in thousands of years. The technologies around us may have changed, but our psychology hasn't. So we'd be very wise to look at what these deep thinkers and philosophers and geniuses of the past have prescribed. We don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel for the 2020s. Nothing that I'm doing here, nothing that I'm creating is new here. I'm simply adapting the wheel to our modern world. Anyway, Marcus Aurelius did what he called his evening confidence ritual. And he tells us that self-awareness, self-examination, and self-determination are the characteristics of a self-confident human being. Now, studies have shown that self-confidence is about 50% genetic, right? So some of you are going to be more confident than others, but that still leaves us 50% to work with. Now, two very easy exercises for us to do during our shutdown routine that build that self-confidence are: one, keeping a gratitude journal, and two, taking stock of your achievements or successes. Now, I'm not going to go too much into gratitude today, but I will do an entire video about that one because really it's a tool of its own. And I actually do a gratitude exercise at the start of my day, but you can do it at the start of your day, or you can do it in your shutdown routine, or you can put it in both. And that's what I do. So it's a really simple process. And all you need to do is recall 3 things from the day that you're grateful for. And another way of thinking about it is maybe recall 3 things from the day that made you smile. If you want to list more than 3 things, feel free to do so. You know, thinking about what made you smile should bring a smile to your face and boost your mood for the evening. If you write it down, it has even more impact. So write it down. Now, gratitude doesn't have to be saved for the big things in life, like my daughter or my house or my promotion. The habit of being grateful starts with appreciating every little good thing in our lives. So it could be the coffee that we had after lunch. It could be the conversation with a friend. It could be the joke that I heard from a colleague. There's nothing too small for us to be thankful for. And in fact, appreciating the small things is actually one of the secrets to good mental health. So look for the small things. As well as things you're grateful for, we now want to review our successes from the day. So we take a moment to reflect on what we've achieved that day. So consider what went well, and also consider anything that you want to improve. And a success doesn't have to be anything major. I mean, of course, if you've got major achievements, if you've got big deals that have happened, be proud of them. But don't overlook the everyday small wins. So maybe you went to the gym or ate a healthy meal, or maybe you made a good decision, helped someone in need, whatever. Anything that makes you feel good and proud of yourself. Doing this at the end of the day gives a big boost to your self-confidence and makes it much more likely that you're going to have more wins or victories on subsequent days. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is to set an evening intention. Think about 1 or 2 things that you want to do with your evening. Now, they don't have to be overly detailed or exact. They should just give you a general sense of how you want to invest the rest of your day. So our routine so far has been our shutdown from work routine. Okay, so you can look at your evening intention as a sort of startup ritual for your personal time, all right? So helping to shift your thinking from work to you. So it could be tonight I'm going to have a massage, or I'm going to watch a film, or I'm going to have a nice meal, or read my book, or go for a walk in the park, whatever, have a glass of wine. So whatever it is, just make sure you plan something for your evening. Do something to look forward to. And the very last thing that we do is perform a shutdown ritual action. Now, shutdown actions can help make that fuzzy border between work and personal time much more distinct, all right? So we can draw a line in it, especially when we're working from home. So my shutdown action is really simple. I use a unique, what I call termination statement to end my day. Well, it's not actually me that calls it that. Someone called Cal Newport. So he's an author and he's a professor at Georgetown University. And that's who I got the idea from. And he's done a lot of great work on productivity in the digital age. So when I get to the end of my shutdown routine, my shutdown ritual is to simply say out loud, my workday is now complete. Super simple, super easy. One of my clients does a big clap at the end of his shutdown routine. Some other ideas for a ritual could be walk around the room, or could be maybe walk around the block. Maybe you could do 3 controlled breaths. You know, you could bring some mindfulness into it. Why not? You know, you can get as creative as you want to, but I like to keep mine simple. My workday is now complete. Okay, so that's the shutdown routine. Now you can refer to it in your workbook. You can create or adapt your own. And over time, if you stick to this diligently every workday, then over time, this tool will help you leave work at work. It can stop you obsessing about all the things that you still have to finish, and it can set you up for the morning so that you can start on your most important tasks first without getting distracted by that superficial busy work. But of course, you are still going to find yourself worrying about work at times. So when you do inevitably find yourself worrying about work, when a worrisome work thought enters your mind during your personal time, you can let that thought go by going through the following process. The first thing you do is you remind yourself that you've said your termination phrase, or you've done your clap, or you've walked around the room, or you've done your 3 breaths, whatever your shutdown ritual is. So that's the first thing you do. Remind yourself, I've said my termination phrase. Second thing you do is you remind yourself, I wouldn't have said this termination phrase unless I'd checked over all of my tasks, calendar, and weekly plans. And then the final thing you do is you remind yourself that since you've said your termination phrase, and that you wouldn't have said your termination phrase unless you checked over all your tasks, calendars, and weekly plans, then you're clearly on top of everything. Therefore, no need to worry. In time, you won't even need to go through these reminders. I don't need to do that anymore because I've built up confidence in my routine. So I know that I've got it covered. I know I've done what I need to do to settle my mind, to settle my work for the following day. And just remember, as I always say, we're all individuals. So what works for me won't necessarily work for you. But I know that this tool will be effective for almost every one of you that have that habit of worrying about work during your personal time. So make sure you give this one a really good crack. Thanks so much for watching. Best of luck practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.